Hello, I would like to talk about the Beatles' double album, which first came out in 1988, called Past Masters. This album came out when the Beatles' original catalog of British LPs first came out on compact disc in the late 1980s. Now, this was a godsend album for me. I'll tell you why. Because in 1981, I picked up by mail order the box set, the Beatles collection of original British LPs. Of course, this contains every original Beatle album that came out in the UK, which were Please Please Me, with the Beatles, Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, Yellow Submarine, Abbey Road, and Let It Be, along with a bonus album called Rarities, which contains B-sides and assorted odds and ends which did not make it on the original British LPs, and all the tracks on this album are on Past Masters. This is not the same album as the one released by Capitol Records in the US and in America, because most of the tracks on this album are on the American LPs. So Capitol chose to release Beatle tracks that were rare in America. Now, when the Beatles catalog was issued on compact disc, they found there were some gaps, and how they filled the gaps was releasing the aforementioned double album Past Masters. So originally they were released as two separate CDs, and what they did was they released Magical Mystery Tour on CD with the track lineup that Capitol Records put together, and this is the only Capitol album that was released internationally on CD. Now, back to Past Masters. When I first got the Past Masters album, I did not have a CD player yet, so it was 1989, and this was when record stores still had vinyl LPs before everything went to CDs. And when I saw a copy of the Past Masters Volumes 1 and 2 double LP, it was a gotta-have item. Now this album is on the Polyphone and Capitol label. You can see the Capitol logo over here and the Polyphone label over here. And I'll get the record out and show you the label. Now the copy I have, since it was made by Capitol Records, is on the purple Capitol label here. And if you look on the left, you can see a small Polyphone logo on it. And so that was how I first got the Past Masters double LP collection. Now I'll tell you all the tracks that are on Past Masters, which contains the A's and B sides of singles, along with the odds and ends, which I'll explain as I get to them, that did not make it on the original British albums. So the album starts with the original single, Love Me Do, that was released in England in 1962. And this version has Ringo Starr on drums. The more familiar version of Love Me Do that you recall, that had session drummer Andy White on drums and Ringo on tambourine. Then we have the first undisputed #1 record in England, From Me to You, and its flip side, Thank You Girl. One thing about those two records, those two songs I should say, From Me to You was first issued in America on a Capitol album on the 1962-1966 double LP. It never got an album release in the United States. And this has, in the mono version, a harmonica intro, which is not on the stereo version. The flip side, Thank You Girl, has extra harmonica notes on the stereo version, which was first released in America on the Beatles' second album, which are not on the mono version, which is what was heard on the original release of Past Masters. Then we have the #1 song, She Loves You, and its flip side, I'll Get You. This was the single that was released on Swan Records in the United States. Then we have the record that broke Beatlemania open in the United States, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and its British B-side, This Boy, which was released on Meet the Beatles in the United States. Then we have a German language single, which is 2 German language tracks, Komm, Gib mir dein Hand, which is I Want to Hold Your Hand, and that was released in the United States on the Something New album. Then we have the flip side, Lieb dich, which is the German version of She Loves You. She Loves You was released in the United States by Swan Records. So they got Lieb dich, where I think it reached number 92 or something in the United States. It was released into obscurity. So that is on Past Masters. Then we have 4 songs that were released on an exclusive British EP with 4 tracks on a 45 RPM disc. All the tracks were released on American LPs. Of course, they were Long Tall Sally, the Little Richard song, an original Beatle composition, I Call Your Name, then a Larry Williams song, Slow Down, and a Carl Perkins song, Matchbox. Then we have the end of 1964 chart topper, I Feel Fine, and its flip side, She's a Woman. Then we have an oddity again. This one was a song recorded specifically for the American market, as it was one of 2 songs recorded specifically for the capital LP Beatles 6. One of them, Dizzy Miss Lizzie, a Larry Williams song, did make it in the UK on the British LP Help. But this other Larry Williams song, Bad Boy, did not appear in England until a compilation album came out at the end of 1966. And that is on Past Masters as a result. Then we have 2 B-sides that did not appear on the original British album. The A-sides did appear on albums. Yes It Is was the B-side to Ticket to Ride, that's from the Help album, as well as the title song, Help, of which the B-side, I'm Down, was not released as an album until it came out on Rarities in the UK. And I think it came out in the United States on an album on the Rock and Roll Music compilation. So I'm Down, the B-side of Help, appears on Past Masters. And that wraps up the first disc on Past Masters. For the second disc, we start with the double A-sided single, Day Tripper and We Can Work It Out, from late 1965, at the same time Rubber Soul was released. And then we have another single, this is from 1966, Paperback Writer and its B-side, Rain. Then we jump ahead to 1968 because all the tracks that the Beatles released as singles in 1967 were released on Magical Mystery Tour. So we jump ahead to 1968 with Lane Badonna and its B-side, The Inner Light. This was the final Beatles single to be released on Capitol United States and Polyphone in England before Apple Records was formed. Then we have the first Apple release, and also the Beatles' biggest hit of all, Hey Jude, and its B-side, Revolution. And then we have the single Get Back, and its B-side, Don't Let Me Down. Then we have another 1969 A and B side, The Ballad of John and Yoko, and Old Brown Shoe. Then we have another one of the odds and ends, the Wildlife version of Across the Universe, which was released as part of a various artists' charity album for the World Wildlife Fund. A different mix of Across the Universe is on the Let It Be album. Then we have Let It Be itself, the single version, with a different mix as opposed to the version that Phil Spector put together on the Let It Be album. And concluding past masters is the novelty song, You Know My Name, Look Up the Number. So that's the Past Masters album review and analysis. And I thank you very much for watching.